I've been in survival mode, and first I will talk about survival mode for a minute. Like, I was in it for years, and there are deeper and deeper layers to it because when we are so used to being in survival mode, it feels natural. So if anything happens, it's right back into survival mode because that feels natural. And it's create, create, create. I can't stop. This is where I was. So when that happens, I'm not nurturing my creativity. It's not coming from my body. My channel's not open to be able to allow the creativity to flow through me because I'm so stuck in my mind. I notice by my body signals. But I would say if I'm really out of alignment and I'm not listening to the cues, then something will happen, basically smack me in the face and tell me you're not listening. That has definitely happened in my life.
Hello, beautiful souls. It is Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. Before we dive into today's podcast, I do have a small request from my heart. If our conversations ever resonate with you or have supported you on your journey, please subscribe to our channel or like this video. It helps us grow Sacred You, welcome more powerful voices into this space, and keep you connected to everything we share. Thank you for walking this path with us. Let us begin with today's conversation.
Welcome, everyone, to today's Pathways to Wellbeing podcast with Sacred You. I am your lovely host, Tawana Yvette, and we have the privilege of speaking with Tamar Gail today. Tamar, you have done so much. I was reading your bio, extremely impressed. Would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. So, as my name is Tamar Gail, I am the founder of what I call the Feminine Codes. And you could say that I'm a modern day mystic. I'm an oracle, so to speak, a keeper of what I call the feminine mysteries, or what is known as the feminine mysteries. And my work is all about guiding women through these sacred portals of remembrance that are here to awaken the wisdom that are encoded really in our body and our voice and in the earth. It's a remembering of the divine, the sacred, the great mother. And what I teach is rooted in the mystical lineages of the living rhythms of nature, of the rose lineage. And I create these transformational spaces from retreats to vision quests to ceremonial gatherings as far as dinners, and really bring people back into being embodied and being connected to the earth and being connected to their sovereignty that comes from lived experience and sensuality, sensitivity to our bodies and to life itself. So it's really more of the
I
spiritual path that
I,
I love.
I love it. I can't wait to hear more about this, especially doing retreats and ceremonies. That is so exciting. And it is so important that we as women come home to ourselves. So many women are waking up and realizing this boss babe culture is not it. What's your take on?
Yeah, I think there is a place for our masculine energy to create, to make our dreams come true. But I think the boss babe mentality is creating burnout in women, this anxiety, this overstimulation, and this push and this drive that it's not really meant for a woman's nervous system. And so we're being taught to do things in a more masculine way, the way that the men's bodies can handle that. They're actually made for that. They're made to handle a lot more. Us women, we're not. And that's just the way that our bodies are created. We're not meant to push so hard. And there's a different way of doing it that I think women are waking up to, that as you're speaking about, that we can actually learn how to flow and create and do from our feminine cycles and honoring the cycles, which is really going to fill our cup and allow us to create on a much broader scale. Like we can create so much more whenever we actually come back to our bodies and our own natural rhythms. So I think we are definitely seeing this shift to a more
Yeah, there
feminine.
is definitely a huge shift going on with us going from that doing, achieving to being, flowing, and attracting. Three of my favorite words. A lot of sensitives, a lot of women are told you're too sensitive. Like you giggled.
We
Was
get that
that
you're too much, you're too sensitive. Like we have all, especially there are us women that have bigger personalities, that we feel a lot, that we express a lot.
yes?
And there's nothing wrong with that. As a woman, we have a broad range of experiences, and that as long as it's emotionally, like we know how to, it's like the learning process of learning how to harness and utilize our emotions. Uh, we can actually do so much more with it. But the world that we live in, we're taught that we're too much. And I was like that when I was little. Like I voiced my opinions. I knew what I wanted. This is what I want. I want peanuts on my donut. Like I was like, so much so. I was just like, no, like I know what I'm doing. I know. And I had a voice, a very strong voice. And as an older daughter of the first child, and as a daughter, not there's a lot of fathers who aren't like familiar with how, especially my father's age, on how to work with a daughter like that. And so a lot of times, even as children, we're told, like we're maybe not told, but it's implied that, oh, you're too much, you know.
You're doing too much, you're talking too much. And I think we come from the generation of children should be seen and not heard. So when we have those big, because I was told shut up a lot,
Mm,
because I questioned everything.
mm,
Nothing made sense to me. So I questioned it all. The only thing that made sense to me were the people that were coming to me from the other side. That was it. But yes, you're right. A lot of our parents were not equipped to handle big personality children. And even my own child, who has my middle child, who has this boisterous personality, I was not equipped for it. I was
mm,
not. So
mm.
I am today. I was not 20 years ago.
Beauty of being a parent. It's like the children are here to teach us. And we don't know until we go through that
Exactly.
experience. Yeah.
And I love that you touched on children are here to teach us. I love that you touched on that because we as parents strive for perfection, and they are our teachers. My children taught me how to heal and how to be independent. It took me a long time, and they were in their 20s and one was 30, but I finally got there.
Mm,
They taught me that it was okay to be okay. It was okay to be independent. It was okay to be flawed. Just be authentic about it. And that was the lesson that my children were here to teach me, how to be authentic again, how to remember who I am.
mm.
So I'm so glad that you touched on that. So one is you mentioned this before, and I made a face when you said it. One of your most powerful endeavors is the ceremonial table. Please tell us more about that.
Yeah, the ceremonial table it's really like bringing people back to reconnecting with the sacredness of the cycles of nature, of the great mother, of the harvest, and whatever's like we just finished the autumn harvest. It's all about gratitude. And so it's teaching people how to flow with the cycles of nature, how to honor the cycles of nature and how that relates to them, and how to be present. And in that, we're building a community of like through presence, which I feel so many of us miss the mark on because we're so bombarded with noise on our exterior world, that how I think we've forgotten a lot of times how to be present with the people in front of us, how to be present with our food. And the sensuality of that, actually, it's like connecting with our senses. When I talk about sensuality, it's connecting with our senses to the world. And so how do we be so present with the person in front of us, with the food that we're eating, with the gifts of the earth, and really honor every moment of that through food, through community, through being conscious.
My mother was, when she was here, a master of that. She could bring anyone together over a plate, and you sat there and just tuned into the moment, tuned into your senses. And she just had this magical way of doing that. You often talk about sovereignty becoming lived. Can you share a little bit more about what you mean by lived?
Yes. Yeah, that's a really good question. So for me, and maybe sovereignty means something different for other people. I had someone ask me once, what do you mean by sovereignty? Because their interpretation of sovereignty was completely opposite of mine. But sovereignty is being so embodied in your own truth, in your own gnosis, and your own knowing, that the way that you show up and the things that you accept in your life, like you know who you are, and you're not going to follow what somebody's put in front of you. You're not going to follow the crowd. You're not one of the sheep, so to say. You know who you are, you know your truth, and you are going to live by that. And so there's no one who's going to take you outside of that, outside of yourself. And having integrity with that and really standing in your belief system, in your truth, is really what we're being asked to do today, in my opinion.
Yes,
And so that
it
is what
is. I agree.
yeah.
I agree. When I did my summit back in May, this young lady sent me 2 pages of credentials to be a speaker. And I call her and I said, have you lived any of what we're talking about? And she goes, no, but look, I have a PhD in this and a master's in that. And I've taken this class and this course and I'm certified in this and certified in that. And I said, we are calling for authentic people because people want to be felt. They want to feel seen. I've noticed this shift, this conscious shift between education and what have you lived? Have you seen the same thing? Have you made those same observations?
I have. And I think that there is a really big, how do I say this without, there's a really big community of people who live like that. Even in the spiritual world, I've noticed this happen. It's not fully integrated, it's not fully embodied. And so what you're teaching is what you've learned, but it's not really coming from this place of knowing. And I know for me, it has to come from that. This is what I was born, created for. It has to come from embodied wisdom. And that's why the oracle is there. It's when I say oracle, it's very different. And it took me a while to understand this because I'm like, come on, like I'm gonna be sitting like the oracles of the old days and just prophesying and all this stuff. And that is something that I have done, but it's not what I'm here for this time. The oracle can be and is for me this lived experience and the sharing of wisdom from my own life experiences. And I have had a lot of experiences in this lifetime to be able to build on, to be able to teach what I teach. And even so much so that there was a program that I had for women, and I had lived through it. I healed myself by doing all of this work and work that I had studied under teachers, but my goal was to work on myself. And that's why I went there. It became my body of work. And a few years later, I got thrown back into this mix of I would say the underworld and the experience that I was going through. And it was really difficult. But what I did learn was that all the tools that I had, all the tools that I'd used before, had to be used on such a deeper level on myself. And I stopped doing my work for 2 years because I'm like, okay, like I need to focus on me. And I used all the tools that I had to work on my own healing. But what I found was that it helped me integrate that work on even a deeper level. And so what I
Yes.
tell all of my students whenever they come to learn from me is that it has to be integrated. It's not just about learning what I'm teaching you. You have to live it. You have to experience it. It has to be, you have to go through that underworld, that work
Yes.
to be able to really get it. And
Yes.
I see that a lot of times we don't, it's just people learning the tools and taking it off. And some people can have managed to actually make a living doing that. I cannot. It does not work for me.
That makes two of us. So let's get into the meat, the
Okay.
feminine codes. What
Okay.
are they and how can one use them to their advantage?
Yes. So the feminine codes they're really something very ancient. And it was something that I channeled actually, this whole writing of the feminine codes. It's connected to the most ancient part of us, men and women, but it's the original divine blueprint of the feminine, of the Great Mother. And so, how do we bring this back online into more of a modern way? So, it's ancient, but it's also new. And
Mm-hmm.
so, how do we reintegrate all this? How do we reactivate this inside the memory cells of our body, of our DNA? And a part of that, there's a lot of different codes that are within the feminine codes. And I believe that there are people who teach certain ones. We've integrated certain ones, and I'm not the only one. Like we are, as a collective, there are a few of us that are really being called to anchor these codes into the earth grid right now, into the world. And so the codes that I teach are very specific to me and my learning. So, like the dragon code, the is bringing back the fire and this ancient dragon mother and really connecting with the lines of the dragon, which have been seen as myth, but really they are a part of us. And so that is one of the codes that I work with, the Queen Code. How do we stand anchored in our sovereignty? And what does it look like to carry this energy of the Queen? That's for me a mix of this, like it's a blend and a healing of the sacred union within self. So, how do we stand in our sovereignty and our truth as a feminine being, but also use and weld our masculine energy as well to create what we're here to create in life? And so, that would be another one, sacred union of the divine relationship. And so there's a few different codes that I really work with. The rose lineage is a really big part of my path, as I mentioned earlier. And this reawakening of the original feminine blueprint of the earth, of humanity, so that we can really shift into this new world that we're going into.
That that is some great information that you can bet I'm either going to be talking to you or looking them up when we're done. Because I am deeply interested. Like you've set off my rabbit hole bells, if I must say, because that's one I'm willing to go down. But I have heard recently about all of these codes and how they're waking up the divine feminine and bringing us back to self. And it's not to knock the masculine, because we all have masculine and feminine in us. We need that for balance. But as far as women are concerned, there are certain things that we were brought here to do. And yes, we are, a lot of us, a lot of women, I used to be one of them, are operating so much out of the masculine that we can't see the feminine for the trees, if I might say, until we hit that dark space, that underworld. I love the way you described it because I used to say this is HE double hockey sticks. I feel. And after I came out of that wave, I told somebody said, you're going to HE double hockey sticks. And I said, honey, I've been there already and survived it. So there's nothing you can do. I've been there, I've survived it. There's no fear anymore. You've said that creativity and inspiration can't flow in survival mode.
It cannot,
Why do
no.
you think?
I've been in survival mode, and first I will talk about survival mode for a minute. Like, I was in it for years. And there are deeper and deeper layers to it because when we are so used to being in survival mode, it's a natural, like it feels natural. So if anything happens, it's right back into survival mode because that feels natural. And it's create, I can't stop. This is where I was, right? Create, I can't stop. I can't like go dance. I can't take time for that. I can't take time to nurture my feminine because I have to do so that I could get myself out of this place. That's the survival mode that I was in. I don't know if you relate. You're shaking your head, so I guess yes. So when that happens, I'm not nurturing my creativity. Like it's all coming from
Mm-hmm.
here. It's all coming from my mind. It's not coming from my heart. It's not coming from my body. It's not coming from like my channel's not open to be able to allow the creativity to flow through me because I'm so stuck in my mind that I'm so
Mm-hmm.
focused on what I'm doing. And I feel like I'm creating, like I'm
Mm-hmm.
creating platforms and I'm creating programs and I'm creating all this on my
But it
website,
goes nowhere.
but it goes nowhere. And so taking that time to actually honor that space, and I knew it, Spirit kept telling me, go dance, go dance. And
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, I don't have time. I know that I need to go dance, but I don't got time. I'll do it when I get done with this. And finally it was like, nope, smack in the face. You got to do this. And then once you settle down, once you take that time to honor your own cycle, you actually get more done because if you can step away from it, step away from that survival mode and just breathe and just be, you will receive what you need to receive to be able to go back and do that in a much more aligned way.
Exactly. I was shaking my head because I just literally shifted out of survival mode a couple of weeks ago. And I had a goal, had something that needed to be done. I needed to move. And so I would sit at my desk, and my best friend and my aunt would be yelling at me over my cameras, go to bed, because I'd be sitting there 16, 18 hours creating, creating, creating. And the programs I created, fantastic. Not one person signed up. And I'm like, okay, this is very unusual. This doesn't make sense to me. And it dawned on me that you're operating out of your masculine. You're not open. Even though I'm a channeler, you're not even open right now because you're so focused on what's on this screen and looking at what social media says people want and then focusing on people's pain points that you are not drawing in. You're not in alignment, period.
Yeah.
There is no alignment whatsoever. It's just, oh, I know this is a necessity. Let me create it. But then no one signs up. So then you got to pause
It is
and
that, and
say,
I'm
what's
actually in a
going on?
different phase of it right now. Like
Oh,
I've
really?
Yeah, and it's just like a deeper level. I could feel myself going back into it a little bit, and I'm like, no, I have to actually like work on the deeper layers of it. Like I cannot continue to go feel, not that I have to, but feel like I have to go back into that mentality of do because I don't have to. So what are you doing? And so I stopped myself, thankfully, from feeling like, okay, I want to create this, I want to do that. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to create anything. Right now, I'm not going to create anything and I'm just going to sit with it. I'm just going to let it be and I'm just going to wait and I'm going to feel into it and I'm
Mhm.
just going to let it come For one, it's Scorpio season, and I know Scorpio season very well. Like, I'm a Scorpio. I go, like, it hits me. Like, I never thought Scorpio season hit me before. It hits me every year. I'm like, wow, I look back at my patterns and I'm like, it really does. So I'm just going to sit with it. I'm just going
Right.
to go into it and I'm just going to let it flow to me. And I'm done with this. I'm done
Mhm.
going into that and I'm going to honor my cycles. I'm going to honor this right now. And so I can feel it healing on an even deeper level.
That's amazing. Yeah, there are certain seasons that I've noticed hit me pretty hard too. And it does get to the point in your healing journey where you stop and pause and say, wait a minute, I've seen this movie before. I know how it ends. Let's move up the spiral
Yeah.
because we know life is like a spiral, right? And
Mhm.
as we ascend, we meet the same thing again until we defeat it. It's like a video game. Until we defeat that monster, so to speak, we can't move up to the next level. So that is amazing that you caught yourself and recognized the pattern before next year.
It
Because
feels
if
really
it's,
good.
I know, I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. Great work. We have to acknowledge each other as
Hmm.
women. Even when we feel the accomplishment is small, it's not,
Mm-mm.
it's huge. So
Mhm.
I'm proud of you. Good for you for doing that. So, what does a quarterly earth honoring ceremony look like? Can
Mhm.
you walk us through that and how does it help?
Yes. So the winter solstice is the next one that I'm
Mhm.
planning. And I am really excited. I will just tell you what I'm going to do personally and my household, like with gathering people together. And this is not the ceremonial table because that will be a little bit different because it also has a dinner. So at home, to honor the winter solstice, that time, the longest night of the year, and it's starting to turn back. And so we're honoring that at that point. We're going to be making salt dough ornaments to hang that honor the light and the dark, that honor the moon and the sun. And we're going to be doing that by hand. And so crafting is really important, especially for the feminine codes, to really honor the gift of creativity, of art, to work with our hands to make something palpable that we could see and to create something beautiful. And so we're going to be making these ornaments out of salt and dough and water and shaping them and baking them and creating like beauty with it to honor the seasons. And so there I will have food, there will be a candle that I make. I have a candle line called Ritual Candles. And yes, I know. They're beautiful. So I have one for different things, the Great Mother, the dark moon, the full moon. So for that, I will get out one of my ritual candles, we'll light it. We will honor our dreams and where we are in that moment of winter. It's the start of winter where we are dreaming, and so understanding what the season is all about, what the winter equinox, winter solstice is all about and really honoring that phase of our life for us personally and as a collective. And so, what are we dreaming? Where are like growing our roots deeper? How are we nourishing our bodies? And just letting ourselves be in that liminal space.
I love that. And I love that you make candles. Tamar, for the woman who's listening, feels exhausted, disconnected, losing hope, losing faith, not knowing why they're here, what would you say?
One of the most important steps that I took and that I can encourage everyone to look at is to really grow a relationship with your cycle. And if you no longer have a menstruation, then cycle with the moon. Watch the moon cycles and actually create a cycle for yourself related to the flow of the moon, the cycle of the moon, and learn when your body needs rest and allow space. And maybe that's little pockets of rest. Maybe you're a single mother or you're busy, but find those moments to replenish yourself to allow yourself to dream and learn how to flow with your cycle. And if you need help with that, I am here for that. I love to teach that. Make a journal, keep a journal, and journal your dreams, journal where you are in your cycle. Like really get to know your body, get to know your subconscious, get to know like where you are and how you flow and what you need. Begin to watch your patterns. But one of the most important things that I can say is to be able to to grow a relationship with your cycle. And just that, you're going to, believe me, fall in love with being a woman, fall in love with your body, fall in love with your magic, really start to learn how to replenish and refill your own cup to where it's overflowing. And it starts with something so simple as to honoring your cycle.
I did my moon chart about 2 months ago, and I, as of yesterday, just came out of a very deep rest period, allowing myself to honor that cycle for the first time in life was huge. Not checking email, telling everyone I'm unavailable, that this was my time and I was going to honor my body. I call it sacred rest and reset. I am on sacred rest and reset. And when I say that, please don't call me asking me about work, because your response, my response to you will be, I'm on sacred rest and reset with a smile on my face. So yes, that just, and like you said, even if you don't have a physical manifestation of a cycle, once I learned where I'm supposed to rest, where I'm supposed to work, where I'm supposed to manifest,
Yeah.
because there's that part too,
Yeah.
and where my manifestations completely do not belong, things started to change, and they changed rapidly. It was amazing. So for the woman who's just coming into that, who's finally learned, oh, I am supposed to be aligned with the moon, because I sat under grandmother moon for 3 years, scrying, just subconsciously writing. So I got to know the moon very well. And I couldn't, everywhere I went, it was like she was right there. It didn't matter what side of the house I was on, where I was, she was right there. And she was trying to give me the message 3 years ago, but I didn't catch on to it. But we have it now. And it is so important for us to honor that, to take the time as women, like you said, even if you're a single mom, 15 minutes in the shower,
Yes.
and just give yourself the permission to mentally rest. Even
I'm
if
so
you can't,
happy.
yeah, even if you can't take a rest period, even if you can't take a vacation or whatever, take off work or whatever, it's 15 minutes in the shower with some eucalyptus or some lavender or rosemary or whatever it is that relaxes your body, is honoring that. Would you say that's true?
I definitely say that's true, and I'm going to honor you for doing that for
Thank
yourself.
you.
I think that's so incredible. I love it when I see a woman just really learn, like really embody it, do it for yourself, and then the outcome of it, like how you feel afterwards, is so special. I do agree with that. And you mentioned something very important. We have phases. Like there's 4 weeks in a cycle for
Mhm.
a menstruation cycle and for the moon cycle. And so learning what each week is for, the dark moon is tomorrow. And I know a lot of people call it the new moon, and I will say that it's the dark moon because it's totally different than the new moon. The dark moon is when there's no moon in the sky, and this is the time that relates to your menstruation when you're bleeding. And so this is a time when you go within. This is a time that you're talking about where you need to honor rest, meditation, like nourishing foods, all of that, so that when it comes to the new moon, that's when you manifest. And then the full
Mhm.
moon is when you create all these like the meetings, and that's going to relate to your ovulation. And so your ovulation time is when you want to really be out there and shine and do. And so, like, understanding the cycles and understanding how your body relates to either your menstrual cycle or the moon cycle and following that, it's really going to change. It's really going to change how you feel in your body and how you feel in life. And then it will bring that back to the cycles of the year and understanding, which is why I do the ceremonial dinners, understanding what each part of the year is for. And there's four also in this wheel. And we relate those to the menstrual cycle and we relate those to the moon cycle and understanding how they all work together in this wheel of life, which is really beautiful because right now, here in the US, and you're here with me, is autumn. So we're in the fall and we're about to head into winter. And so that I feel in my body that I'm also in this transition, although I'm in South Florida, of fall. So I'm really wanting to slow down. I'm wanting to look at what I've created this year, have gratitude for everything that I've harvested, everything that has come into my life, and then think about what I want to let go of so that in the winter I can have this deep rest. And I feel it in my body, and probably because I've honored the cycles for so long, that my body just naturally gravitates towards wanting to go within and be in this more feminine flow of rest and rejuvenation. And I think that as we go into holiday season, this is something we don't see is the exact opposite. We're asked to go to all these parties, to do all these things, and we're so busy when really our bodies are needing the opposite.
I agree. I just moved from DC to South Florida, so quite a different. I forget. It's fall. I went into the store and saw Christmas ornaments, and I'm like, why are there? Oh, you just moved. That's why, because it's
It's too hot
November.
outside. We're
Exactly. I'm short set. Why are the Christmas ornaments out? Yes, I'm gonna have to tune in a little bit more. There won't be those external representations of this cycle any longer. What does the pathway of well-being to you?
A pathway of well-being for me is on every layer, physical, mental, spiritual. It's like how we take care and nourish our bodies and our minds and our spirits so that we can be as healthy and vibrant as possible. And our life force energy, our prana, chi, whatever you want to call it, is when we don't take time for nourishing ourselves, like our life force gets really, I would say, diminished because it's that fire inside that I'll go back to that passion, that fire, that drive, the prana, the dragon energy inside of our body, if we want to bring that back up again. But that kind of like dims whenever we are not taking care of ourselves. And so nourishing and taking time to really take care of ourselves on every level for me is so important. And that's important for longevity as well. How we feel in our bodies long term is really going to be key. And I notice that the older that I get, the more important that is for me to take time for that. And that is also the cycles. Honoring the cycles is a part of that well-being. So for me, it's really bringing in more life force, really bringing in more vitality into our body and our mind.
I agree. What is your favorite ritual or sacred practice?
I would say my favorite sacred practice for myself is lighting a candle or incense, anointing my body and going into one of my, it's yoga, but it's a very embodied feminine style of Kundalini and Tantra yoga that is really just bringing me into my body and opening up my channel and really activating my life force. And that is probably one of my personal favorite practices that I do. Yeah.
I can feel it. It,
Juicy.
it
It's just like
yeah,
yummy.
yeah. It feels sacred. It feels good. Tea or cacao for ceremony?
Oh.
or both?
Cacao. I love both, but as much as I love the tea ceremonies, cacao has been was my first love.
Wow. And why?
I would say my experience with it years ago it was the sacredness of it. I was on a cruise. I can't remember if it was 2016, maybe 15, 16. I took a Zen cruise to the Mexico, and with the native people, we did a temazcal and a cacao ceremony. And the cacao ceremony, it took place in like this jungle area. And it was the first time I'd ever had cacao made in a ceremonial way. And it was incredible. Everything opened up. This beautiful blue butterfly came in and just started weaving in and out of everyone there, the whole group. And it was so incredibly beautiful, this connection with the Divine Mother, that I started studying cacao. I went to Guatemala. I stayed in Guatemala for a little while I lived on a cacao farm. I learned how to process it. I really went deep with cacao. And at that time, I lived in France and I was coming back to Miami actually to lead cacao like ceremonies once I had really embodied it. But no one really knew what cacao was yet at that point. And they all looked at me like, we're drinking hot chocolate. What is this gonna do? And I'm like, no. So I had some workshops that I would offer cacao also with it and try to get. And then when I moved back, everyone's doing it. So I stopped doing it, but I still would choose cacao just for that sacred. There's something so sacred to it.
If it's processed right.
Yes, if it's
If
processed right.
not like hot chocolate.
Yeah, it's totally different than hot chocolate. It's prayed over, like the whole ceremony and I know whenever they make it, the sources that I would get it from, they would also do their own ceremony throughout the process. But when I have it and I'm preparing it, I also go into ceremony and ritual with it. And so there's a very particular, it's prayed over, it's like infused. And so it's a completely different than making hot chocolate.
And yeah, we're infusing intentions, we're
Yeah.
infusing energy, we're infusing the energy of the planets, the energy of the Divine Mother, the Creator. All of it goes into that. So I love it. How can you tell when you're out of alignment?
I'm way too much in my head. That was a very big sign, and not so much in my body. I can tell with my breath, the way that I breathe. It's not as deep. It's a little bit more like in the upper chest. And also it's also my energy levels. I obviously I work with embodiment, so I'm very tuned into how my body reacts to everything. My nervous system, I can tell when something sets me off. So I notice by my body signals. But I would say if I'm really out of alignment and I'm not listening to the cues, then something will happen to basically smack me in the face and tell me you're not listening. And
Mhm.
that has definitely happened in my life. I've had those smacks in the face.
Yeah, have we all been there? Good Lord. Oh God. I want to remember it. I don't even want to remember it. It was so bad.
It's
When you
over.
look
It's in the
back,
past.
exactly. Anytime the universe has had to smack you in the face, you look back, you're like, yeah, I don't want to go through that again. That was enough.
Thank you for the lesson, but
Exactly, exactly. But we're done here. We're done here. What book would you recommend all women read if you had
uh,
one to choose? Because I know we have many as practitioners, but if you had to choose one, what would it be?
wow, I was just creating a book list in my head yesterday. So I would say just one. Anna, the grandmother of Jesus.
Really? And
Yeah,
why?
because it's totally not what you think. It's mystical. Have you read it?
No, I've
No?
not. I'm trying to make sure I remember it so that I do.
Yeah. And I'm actually on the sequel right now. I just started it. And so Anna, the grandmother of Jesus, it's all about the life of Anna, his grandmother, but how it's really deep into the mysteries. It explains a lot and the sense of connection to the Great Mother, connection to the mystery schools, and understanding what our bodies are truly capable of if we want to be and live as a more conscious being. And it is a beautiful book. I couldn't put it down. I didn't really know what to expect when I picked it up, and I can't remember even why I got it. I think someone recommended it to me, and I bought it that day. Couldn't put it down. It's one of my books that I would recommend to any woman who is going to do work with me, because you'll really understand the work that I do, like what I'm teaching. Especially the retreats that I'm, all of that it's really deep and it's really beautiful. And it's very much connected to what we're capable of as humans.
I tell people all the time, they ask me why I changed from the religious path to now embodying the spiritual path, but also knowing why I'm here, knowing my purpose, fully standing in it unapologetically. And I tell them I read the books that they took out of the Bible.
Yes.
Once I read those 13 books, there was no going back, because I knew that everything that I needed to walk my spiral that I chose to walk is inside of me. I just have to awaken it. It's just been asleep. It's not lost. It just needs to be reawakened, reminded that it's safe to come out and play now. We're not living by society's rules. We're living by the divine's rules. And so it's safe to come out and play now. Would you say that's true?
I do. I do say that's true. And we have a lot of memories buried in our systems, from whether or not you want to say past lives or ancestral or lineages that are held within our bodies, that we really need to face and let go of to heal those. And because it's stopping us from really stepping into our sovereignty and our autonomy and being what we're meant to be here in this lifetime. So the womb work that I do, we go into all of that. We go into, I'm sure you do with your work as well. And it's so important for us so that we can really step into that sovereignty that we were talking about.
Yeah, ancestral healing is one of my specialties. And yeah, when you said that, it was right on. Because whether you believe in past lives or not, things are passed down through our DNA, through our ancestry that we don't necessarily own. We don't even realize why we're doing things, certain things, or making certain choices, or whatever the case. Yes, it is important to do that wound work, and but to also honor them.
Yes.
Because of the reasons they made those choices. They couldn't be like you and I, free. We've got our voice and stuff like that. A lot of times our ancestry's voice was silenced.
And that's
My
the part of
fourth great grandmother took a poverty vow and a vow of silence just so she could live.
many times we had to, as women, especially in our lineages, to quiet our voice, to not be burned at the stake, or they were. And we have to move through those emotions. They were burned as a witch. They were called heretics. Right now, we have the power of using our voice to being able to share what we discover. But not every woman in our lineage had that ability. And we have, right, and we have those memories held within our DNA, within our blood.
It's funny because I had an experience with my fourth great grandmother, the one I'm talking about. We just call her GGJ for short. Her name was Jerusha. And she says, I had done a TikTok live all night. I used to go live on TikTok every night. And after I closed it, I was getting ready to come to South Florida for vacation. And I went in the bedroom to get my suitcase. And she appears in form. And she's only yay high with stringy red hair. I'm a foot and a half taller than her. And I'm like, and she says, how dare you? And she shakes her finger. How dare you? How dare I what, Gigi? How dare you allow people to disrespect you on that thing and you don't speak? I couldn't use my voice. And on the airplane, I would typically go to sleep. I couldn't sleep for the life of me. It was like, she's right. You're not using your voice. And you don't have to be rude and you don't have to be disrespectful. But you do have to use your voice. This is an obligation of yours right now. So, yeah,
Powerful.
it is. It is. And it was then that I really got to know why she was so adamant, is the word I'm looking for, about me using mine. Because one of the things she said is, we waited for you. And that hit hard. It hit me in my gut. But she wasn't wrong. What's a misunderstood truth about feminine power?
Yeah, that's a really good question.
It's a loaded
It's a
question.
loaded question. Which direction do I want to go? Yeah, I think one thing that is misconstrued about feminine power is that we need to be over men and that men are weak and all inferior. And I see this a lot, and unfortunately, in a lot of posts, that there's a lot of bashing of men and the masculine. And so I think that's a very misconstrued belief about feminine power. As feminine, we have beautiful power, where we have beautiful qualities, and we very much so need to stand in our power. But that doesn't mean ever being manipulative or on top of anyone else. We have a very different power, and that manipulation and that being on top of is very masculine, patriarchal. And when I say patriarchal, that does not mean men, that means a system, way of thinking. And I think that is deeply misunderstood. We need to have union. We need to find a way to find unity between men and women. And I will always believe that one of the biggest woundings to humanity is the division of man and woman. And so if we could heal that, but that also means healing how we interpret feminine energy and feminine power, and understand how to weld it and use it wisely and with love and through the heart, then we can really begin to shift things. And I don't really think it's the black cat energy. I love it. I love the idea of the black cat energy because I don't think that that's not it. Not that I don't think that's not it. There's a very different type of feminine that we have the ability to be.
Yes.
And that is what I'm here to teach.
I love that. And last question. What is one message that you want every woman to remember about her body?
You chose, you chose this body when you came into this world for a very specific reason. Your body was made to, as a temple for your soul in this lifetime. And so it was made exactly and perfectly the way it was need to be made. It was meant to be made to carry out what you need to do in this lifetime. And so if we can truly see your body as a temple and really claim that every curve, every dimple, every part of your body is sacred and beautiful and made exactly the way it was meant to be made, then yeah, I think that this would change everything. Yeah.
It would. We wouldn't have everyone going out to get BBLs and all the rest of the things that unfortunately a lot of our young women and older women are doing to extremes to fit society's mold of what we should look like.
And aging is beautiful.
It is.
We're
It
meant to
is.
age. We are meant to grow and change. And I bring this back to the cycles and understanding the cycles of life. We're not meant to be a maiden, a young girl for our whole life. There's power in aging. There's power in growing older. The wisdom that we gain that is shown on our bodies is something to be revered. The crone is a beautiful archetype of the woman. It's a beautiful phase of womanhood. And I think that's where we're messing up, is we're not honoring that phase. We're not honoring any of the other phases except for the maiden, except for the young, beautiful, like young, childlike woman. And we're
Mhm.
not that. And so the wrinkles that I have, like they're from everything that I've experienced in this lifetime. It's who I am. And so I think that if we can see and understand our bodies in that way, learning the cycles, again, understanding the seasons of our life, and understanding that our bodies are temples for our spirits and our journey in this lifetime, then I think we can stop seeing that we have to be like everybody else. Because we don't. Everyone's starting to look like each other. And so where's the
Right.
uniqueness? Where are you? Where's your individuality? What is making you special in the way that, who you are and the way that you look and the way that you're presented in the world when you look like everyone else? Is that
Right.
so bad? Is
Right.
that bad for me to say?
No, it's not. I agree wholeheartedly. When I run into young women who, oh, and like myself, I run into a lot of young women like I used to be before I went on my healing journey, where I wanted to have all this surgery to be like everybody else. And it's no, baby, you are beautiful just as you are.
Yeah.
Your uniqueness, your dimples, your curves, it's what makes you a woman. Why do you want to look like everyone else? You want to stand out. And it's not a bad thing to have a stomach or a little jiggle here or a little wiggle there, and or scars or wrinkles, like you said. The wrinkle cream industry, it's $1 billion industry right now because
It
everybody's
is.
trying to get rid of their crow's feet. And that means you laughed. You laughed, or the lines around your face. It means you smiled. Enjoy it, embrace it. So I love that you touched on the maiden's journey and the crone's journey and the mother's in between there, and she's just as important.
Important because so for me there's four. There's the maiden,
Mhm.
the mother, and my teacher called it the maga, but I call it the empress and the crone. And
Mhm.
so there are two other stages that we go before the crone. I mentioned the crone because she's high instead of
Right.
honored, but the mother and the empress are like, I'm stepping into my empress phase, the third phase of life. And I'm like, yes,
Yes, we get excited about it.
I'm really excited about it. Yeah.
I was so excited to turn 50, and I sat there and I'm like, what are you excited to turn 50? I'm 50? Ah, I love this. I love this. In my 40s, my 30s, I was like, oh, I'm getting older. I'm getting older. But I turned 50 and I'm like, oh, look at this. I'm 50 next week and couldn't figure out why. It's because of the part of the journey that I'm on. So if
And
there's anything that you would like to leave our audience with, what would it be?
yes, yeah, I will circle it back around to just bring it back to together. Learn to honor your body, learn to honor your cycles. It will change the way that you show up in every aspect of your life, from how you show up with yourself, to your family, to your friends, to work, to your creativity. It changes everything by just learning the beauty and the specialness of being a woman.
Mhm.
It's magical. Being a
It
woman
is.
is magical. I love being a woman.
It is. So do I. Well, Tamar, it was such a pleasure to have you today on Pathways to Wellbeing podcast with Sacred You. I am your host, Tawana Yvette. All of Tamar's information will be below this video. Please click it. I know I will be. And contact her for her beautiful divine wisdom and her knowledge and her understanding, because you'd be missing out if you didn't. Anyway, we wish you a wonderful day. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for joining us today and tuning into our conversation with Tamar Gail, who reminds us that honouring our bodies and cycles is not just a practice, it is a pathway to transformation. When we reconnect with the natural rhythms within us, everything begins to shift. If you would like to explore Tamar's work further, be sure to connect with her offerings from her feminine code teachings to her sacred ceremonies and retreats. You will find all the details in the links below. And for more empowering conversations, tools, and strategies, do follow Sacred You on all our social media or visit our website at www.sacredyou, that is the letter U, .love. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button or give us a like so that you never miss another episode. As Tamar shared, true power comes from embodiment, living your wisdom, not just learning it. The journey to alignment is not about pushing harder. It is about slowing down, honoring your cycles, and trusting your body's innate intelligence. And remember, the smallest shift in awareness can open the door to profound change. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, and keep walking your pathway to well-being. Have a beautiful day.